Excuse me, say that again. You know, Kyle Pitts started his role last year, and we already got him out there. Some of our pass downs, able to get him going on our third downs, and he's always going to have the added pressure because of how high he was drafted, right? So we want to be able to get the young man out there and be the best version of himself. And we'll always make the right decision for the Falcons, and we'll always make the right decision for us in order to get him going. So we'll have to figure those things out. And obviously, when those things happen, he's shown some spurts of greatness, and he shows some things that desire more. And we'll find a way to get the best out of him at all times. And that's our job as coaches.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your dog, Toddy, checking in with a quick video, man. Hey, that was Falcons head coach Raheem Morris speaking on Kyle Pitts. And we are here to do a quick video today about Kyle Pitts. In that video, you heard Raheem Morris talking at the NFL Combine. The question, which you may not have heard, was a question from a reporter asking, hey, what's the long-term plans for Kyle Pitts? And Raheem Morris gave in typical Raheem fashion, a very political answer. He took time to compliment Kyle, but he also, if you take note of what he said, he did not give any kind of indication that there would be a long-term commitment to Kyle Pitts. And that leads us to where we are today. NFL insider Jordan Schultz kind of shook up the Falcons section of social media today with a tweet that he put out. And on the screen right now, we're looking at this tweet that we'll go over here together real quickly. Again, this is from Jordan Schultz. It says, and I quote, multiple teams have reached out to the Falcons about the availability of tight end Kyle Pitts. Nothing is imminent. Now, Atlanta would prefer to keep him, but I'm told it would take at least a day to pick to even spark serious talks. Excuse me. A little quick background of Jordan Schultz as he relates with the Atlanta Falcons. This past season, he was the insider that stated that a lot of Falcons players inside of the locker room thought that Michael Penix Jr. was the best quarterback in the building. And this is during the point in time where Kirk Cousins was still starting. And a few weeks after he dropped that quote-unquote bombshell, Kirk Cousins was benched, and Michael Penix Jr. was named the starter going forward. So from an insider standpoint, Jordan Schultz is pretty reliable. And again, going back to his tweet about Kyle Pitts, he's pretty much saying in layman's terms that teams are calling the Falcons, inquiring, knocking on the door. Hey, what do y'all want for Kyle? What's your plans for Kyle? And based on his tweet, the Falcons would prefer to keep him. But if they hear an offer they like, specifically a day 2 offer, that could intrigue Atlanta enough to push the button and trade Mr. Pitts. Kyle Pitts was drafted 4th overall in the 2021 draft by the Atlanta Falcons. He placed the tight end position. From the start, that was a controversial pick for Atlanta. A lot of people, myself included, thought that the Falcons should go elsewhere with the draft pick, but we picked Kyle Pitts. His rookie year, he looked like he was going to be the next Travis Kelce, playing alongside veteran quarterback Matt Ryan. He set some NFL tight end records. He had over 1,000 yards, only 1 touchdown, but you could see what the Falcons saw. But since that rookie year, it has been pretty disappointing for a guy that was drafted 4th overall. It's been pretty disappointing. I really won't go over the stats, but really not what one would anticipate from a guy that was drafted 4th overall. Drafted before guys like Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, and that list goes on and on and on. Micah Parsons. Now, whether or not Pitts will be traded, at this point, I don't know. Pitts is in his 5th year, so he's playing on his 5th year option, making right under $11 million per in 2025. I think the exact number is $10.8 million for his 5th year option. Now, OTA started this week, and Kyle Pitts was noticeably not on the field. And there were some reports came out from James Palmer at NFL Network that stated that Pitts was not on the field, but he was in the building. And also there was a different report that came from NFL insider John Middlecoff that said that Kyle Pitts wasn't exactly happy playing on the 5th-year option without a contract extension. So let's get into this. Again, Kyle has really not lived up to his draft status. I will say this about Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts is a good young player with a hell of a lot of potential, but he was simply overdrafted. And that's on the Falcons. That's not on Kyle. Good, young, solid player with a lot of potential who was simply overdrafted. That's on the Falcons franchise. That's not on Kyle Pitts. With that said, in order to sign Kyle long term at this point in time, Kyle Pitts and his agent will be looking at somewhere around $16 to $19.5 million per year. I'll repeat that. They're going to go into negotiations asking anywhere from $16 to $19.5 million per year. Yes. So he's going to be looking at making top end tight end money. And for a guy who really only has had one bright season in Atlanta, if you're the Falcons, you got to seriously think, is this going to be a good investment going forward? You really have to seriously think about that. Or could we possibly trade him and find us another tight end where we can pay him $4 to $7 million per year and possibly get similar production that we've gotten from Kyle Pitts so far. So that's a lot of things that the Falcons will have to consider and think about. But, it's on the table. It's from a reliable insider that trade talks or trade calls are coming in to the Atlanta Falcons brass and flowery branch. Based on Jordan Schultz, the Falcons would like to keep Kyle Pitts, but if they hear offer they like, they will consider it. Me personally, I would be totally fine with keeping Kyle for his 5th year, and hopefully, Michael Penix could spark something in Kyle Pitts, but at the same time, would I be willing to sign Kyle Pitts long term to about $18 million per season based on what I have seen his first 4 years in the NFL? No, I don't think that would be a wise investment. And on the flip side, you never want to be the team to give up on the guy too soon and then he goes elsewhere and have a Hall of Fame career. So that's going to be something the Falcons are going to have to look at and consider. And I'm sure behind closed doors, they're already talking about that amongst themselves. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you keep Kyle Pitts? Do you trade Kyle Pitts? Let me know your thoughts. Share your thoughts with me. And as always, we'll chop it up in the comments. And if anything else breaks about the story, we'll come right back and we'll talk about it. Until then, I'm gone. Peace.